Hey, what's going on, everybody? My name is Tony 2.0, and if you're anything like me, you hate to read patch notes, and therefore, I'm going to give you the latest updates from League of Legends. Patch 4.1. There was a lot of changes that came with this, and as we get ready for Season 4, a lot of things were addressed that probably should have been addressed long ago, but are finally getting taken care of. There's a lot of things in these patch notes, and I'm going to put a link down in the description so you can go and get more details on them, as well as look into the forums if you have any further questions. I'm just going to give you the very basics. The first segment is vision code changes. Basically, a few of the things are going to happen. They're changing how the actually look to you and the objects that you use. A couple of the big things are ward sweeping abilities will now cause wards to darken the fog of war when they are disabled. For this, it's... if you guys played enough and used those wards, you'll know when they become disabled, it's more quickly that fog of war is going to roll back in. As well as projectiles should register more quickly when a champion is casting from the fog of war. I'm assuming that this is also going to help with when champions cast from grassy areas or cover. Moving on down the list, we're going to get into the changes that come to the champions. A few of the champions received buffs, and a few of them got nerfed pretty hardcore, which I was pretty ecstatic about. The first champ we're going to talk about is Anivia. Starting off, General, her basic attack projectile speed was increased from 1400 to 1400 from 1100. That's good, and I think Anivia was a little bit overpowered. I don't know how this is going to work. It's going to lead to a lot more birds on the screen, I think. Her Q, the Flash Frost, mana cost was reduced 80, 90, 100, 110, and 120. That was from 80, 100, 120, 140, 160. As that ranks up, obviously your Q is going to become a lot more useful. Her W, mana reduced to 70 at all ranks, down from a scaling of up to 150. That's huge. If you ask me, that's quite a buff to Anivia. The R, her Glacial Storm, now displays a warning particle over Anivia that only the Anivia player can see when she is close to the maximum range of her ultimate. That's it for Anivia, and we're going to move on to Annie. Her passive ability, the stun duration now scales from 1.25 to 1.5 to 1.75 seconds at levels 1, 6, and 11. That's from a standard that was 1.75 at all levels. For this, I mean, Annie is probably the most OP support class right now. This kind of levels that playing field. This is one of those changes that I was kind of excited about. Especially early game with Annie. That stun, I think, was ridiculous. Summoning Tibbers, this is something that got scaled down, which is probably good to make her more level with characters in her same kind of class. Now Tibbers' cooldown is reduced from 120, 100, and then down to 80 at the very, very minimum. That was a change from 120 seconds all the way across the board. Moving on down the line to Evelynn. The big thing with this one is they slowed down her missile speed. It was reduced from 1250... reduced to 1250 from 2000, that's her Q. Her E, damage changed to physical from magic, so gives Evelynn a little bit of a different build everyone's going to have to go with her. Then her ultimate now grants the shield instantly instead of half a second later after the projectiles return to her, so that's a little bit of a buff as well. Moving on down the line to Janna. All the changes went to her ultimate. Now begins channeling immediately upon activation instead of a quarter of a second cast time. Total channel duration reduced to 3 seconds, down from 4. Heal per second increased to 100, 150, and 200 plus 0.6 ability power. That was from 70, 100, 150 plus 0.35. So boost to that heal. Total heal amount increased quite substantially. She got 300, 450, 600, and that's up from 280, 440, and 600. So Good buff going on there. Moving on down to Jinx, and one that I thought really needed to get nerfed. Jinx took quite a hit here, and that's going to level the playing field, I think, a little bit. Her base health was reduced to 462, down from 500, and her health per level was increased to 82 from 80. So they tried to balance it a little bit, but it's going to make her awfully squishy early game, which could keep her from getting so fed and being so OP late game. The E-Flame Chomper, standardized arm time down to 0.7 seconds, or excuse me, increased to 0.7 seconds from 0.5. They also fixed a bug that would cause the Chompers to sometimes not activate on champions dashing over them. Now they will stun correctly. And then reduced damage at earlier levels to 80, 135, 190, 245, and 300. Again, patch notes are down below, so you guys can go and check these out from yourself. That is quite a substantial reduction in overall damage. So to her E ability. We're moving on down to Nasus now. His W range got reduced to 600 from 700, and his ultimate no longer increases the cast range of Wither and Spirit Fire. So a little bit of a nerf for Nasus. I think he's still going to be awfully formidable, though. When we go on down to Rengar, his Q, the Savagery, his basic attack buff, not the attack speed buff, reduced to 2 seconds from 6 seconds. So that's a huge... That's a huge nerf for him. I don't know why you do that. I didn't think Rengar was that OP to begin with, but what do I know? They fixed multiple bugs that allowed Rengar to use Savagery more frequently than intended. So, again, a little bit of a nerf there. They're getting rid of some of the exploitation factor. His W, the Battle Roar, empowered Battle Roar heal charge up to 20 plus, and that's 10 times per level amplified by 1%. Per 1% of Rengar's missing health. That's a little confusing. Go check it out. You guys can go and see that. That was actually a reduction from 40 down to 20, so it was a little bit of a nerf as well. Riven finally got a nerf, and this was a good one. Basic attack damage reduced to 54 from 56.7, and then her attack damage per level increased to 3 from 2.7. Her Q, damage per strike, decreased across the board, and you can go see the numbers there. So you took quite a bit of a nerf on this. And then her E, the shield duration, was reduced to 1.5 from 2.5. So she kind of got crapped on in this, and that's good because Riven was such a carry. Oh my gosh, she could just dominate. Going on down the list, Shyvana here, her W, damage per second, was reduced. Minimum magic bonus was also reduced, and maximum magic damage reduced. So a big nerf to Shyvana. Her E, damage reduced to at earlier levels as well. And then her ultimate damage now correctly matches the tooltip at 175, 300, 425. That's down from 200, 300, 400. So a little bit of a leveling there on her ultimate. Looks like we're going to go on to Thresh here. And there's some patch notes that you guys need to be aware of on Thresh, as well as Riven. So go down and read those. His W now shows indicator particles to nearby allies to indicate that it is a clickable object. And his Lantern now has a small collision radius. His ultimate, delay on wall formation, increased to 0.75 seconds from 0.5. Not too much going on there. And then on to the last champ, Yasuo. It's a little weird. Let's read through this here. It generally says, now properly applies the 10% critical damage reduction to his static shiv critical hits. Improve the functionality of his E, Sweeping Blade, to Q, Steel Tempest combo. All casts are now automatically smart casts. Will no longer block friendly Syndra orbs. Now grants, and then his ultimate now grants maximum flow on cast, spell animation shortened by 0.1, and it's now less likely to be teleported out by enemies spamming flash. Now properly alerts spectators and allies when it's on cooldown. So kind of, it's a little bit of a mixed bag for Yasuo. I don't know. I didn't think he needed to do too much. There's also a ton of minor bugs, changes, and fixes that you guys can go and check out. One of the big ones for me, if you guys follow my channel, I like to play Fiddlesticks. They are trying to fix this bug on his Q. If you guys play Fiddlesticks at all, when you fear someone, they instantly run away from you. It should be random, and they're working on getting that fixed finally. A couple of the big ones. They fixed Fiora, where she, during her R, they fixed a bug where she would teleport while casting it. And then Lux, her R, the final spark, now goes on cooldown when it finishes casting instead of when it begins casting. And then it says, if Lux dies while casting final spark, it will no longer go on cooldown. So that's pretty cool. That was one that probably needed to be fixed. Couple of the changes to the items. Rabadon's Death Cap tooltip now displays the amount of ability power gained from its unique passive, which is pretty good. Sunfire Cape magic damage changed to 25 plus character level from 40, so a little bit of a nerf on that. There's a bunch more stuff on here. There's some changes in Summoner's Rift as well as Crystal Scar and Twisted Treeline. Go and read all those things. I wanted to get the champion stuff out for you guys to check out. Leave down in the comment section if you like those changes, what nerfs, what buffs you like. Click subscribe if you're new, and I will talk to you guys again very soon.